Okay, we are in. So 15 minutes. So this will be very short and so painless in a sense. Of course, you can find these slides on my website, which is very easy to find, which is like my name. And I will start with Pierre Duhem, who is a sociologist of science and physicist, no, primarily a physicist, and is famous for his principle of stability. Duhem was very skeptical of mathematical modeling. He thought they were too detailed and he didn't believe much in them. And so he, kind of put caveat around their use and said, okay, you can use it, but then when you use it, make sure that you can guarantee that if I move a bit away from the initial condition, the conclusion still hold. In other words, he was worried about the volatility of the inference provided by a mathematical model. Um, Perhaps you have heard about Duhem in relation to the Duhem-Quine critique, whereby he contested, in a sense, the idea that you can easily disprove a theory, but this is another story. In fact, the idea that models are fragile has come to many, many people, not only to the community you are represent here, but also you may have heard of the butterfly effect, the famous butterfly effect, which is affect certain physical system. The equivalent of the butterfly effect, which is on the boundary condition, is on the structural element of the model, which is a Hawke-Mott effect. But we in our community, we are more familiar with the simple uncertainty cascade. If you add parameter, you increase the parameter error. And that's why we do global sensitivity analysis to check whether we are still within safe operating boundaries. In econometrics, Lemmer said famously that you should again shake the assumption to see if the inference remain solid, and otherwise you should throw your work away. And unfortunately, even in econometrics, this has not been followed much. In fact, Lemmer wrote another paper in 2000 to say 2000 something, saying that, well, people are not following on my advice because they are afraid of undoing their own work. So they said methods like global sensitivity analysis are, in a sense, too candid. No, their candor can make them unattractive to people trying to actually market their work, their research, their model. The same idea has come to these two friends of mine, Silvio Funtovic and Jerry Ravets, when they talk about garbage in, garbage out, or pseudoscience. They speak about this in relation to mathematical modeling, and they say GIGO is where uncertainty in the input must be suppressed, lest the output. There is a typo here. Should be list. Sorry, list. Lest the output becomes undeterminate, I think. Okay. Okay. So, so many people have come to the conclusion that we always see mathematical modeling discussing things, but the discussion is based on not coming to real term on the uncertainty they provide. So models are fragile, but people are, in a sense, are still surprised that models are fragile. And there was a very recent example of this in a study which was conducted by a group of economists, behavioral economists, psychologists, people in different disciplines trying to replicate experiment involving some kind of simulation with existing data and auxiliary variable, making different hypotheses. This one is a study on the effect of migration into the perception of the citizen about how useful social policy are. The main thesis was for this research was that if a country experiences an inflow of migrants, the citizen will become jealous and will say that they don't agree on social policy for fear that the money of the social policy goes to the foreigners. This was a famous paper by the economist Alesina. In fact, when they tried this on the data, they found a full range of effect from positive to negative, and they were shocked by this finding. They spoke about a universe of uncertainty hiding in plain sight, and even more surprisingly, they could not find where the uncertainty was coming from because they were looking at the variable one at a time, and none of the variable one at a time was accounting for much of the uncertainty, which for us is not surprising at all. This was clearly due to the effect of interaction, and this is what we did in this paper with Samuele Arnold and the same Nate Bresnau, not to show them that, in fact, if you do a thorough global sensitivity analysis, you find that all the variances captured by effect of the second and third order or higher, and there is nothing, in a sense, nothing surprising about that. Only um, simply they were not aware. They were totally unaware of anything having to do with the literature on global sensitivity analysis, which in a sense tells something. All right, we are still mostly ignored by most people doing mathematical modeling, which could have some use for our work in theory, but in practice they don't even know that we exist. And this is aggravate a situation which is known. Maybe you have seen those slides before, the idea that there is a great asymmetry between those who use the model and those who produce them. So those who produce the model are overinterpret, let's say oversell their product, and those who receive it overinterpret it. No, so there is a kind of taking literally what is coming out from the model, which is can be dangerous, and we have seen it being dangerous in many situations, especially in policy. We discussed this in the book. Many people still consider model written in mathematics as written in the language of gods, and this is the clearly positivistic, rationalistic view. A certain Enlightenment view, though this was not really the view of the Enlightenment, but a certain way in which the Enlightenment is interpreted by some present-day scholars. Though the more serious people, like the sociologist Lakoff and Munoz, they investigate where mathematics come from, and they find that mathematics come from the experience of men. It doesn't come from a Platonic world of idea, sitting up there in the hyperuranium somewhere. But still, this is a kind of knowledge which is, again, still esoteric. Not everyone knows this kind of things. Technically, with a few friends, with Arnold and Samuel and other, we try to show this effect of accumulation of uncertainty propagating and generating model which were totally irrelevant. Also using the concept of effective dimension, on which Sergei has worked a lot. In fact, using also many of his own results. And then we come to the point where too much is too much. I don't know, maybe I'm translating it here literally. Quando è troppo, which is in Italian, means this is really, come on, cannot go. And this is where people want to make a model of the entire planet. This is really a clearly rhetorical project and device, no? Disingenuous in a sense. They simply want more money to develop bigger computer and write larger computer model. But we know perfectly that this is totally relevant, has been falsified many times before. There have been attempts like this in the 80s. If you look at what we write in those papers, you will find it out. This is never worked, actually. And I want to show you this. This is Donella Meadows. Many people love this woman. She was very active in the 70s when there was, she's famous for the Limit to Growth, Club of Rome report in the 70s. This book, which I show here, is not very much known, but it's interesting for us because in this book, reviewing a long list of very important mathematical modeling used in the 80s for making policy in energy, environment, economy, you mentioned, she noticed that there was some kind of, lack of quality criteria. There was a generalized lack of quality. They said, this is really, people don't want to go through any of these procedures which still exist. And she go on to say that this not because of lack of model. If you look more, you still don't find any better methods. And she predicted that the situation, in a sense, she predicted that the situation would not easily improve. And I think she was spot on. The situation, in fact, did not improve, though new methods were developed to test the quality of mathematical modeling. There is no doubt that the methodology has improved. In whatever field you work and you look at whatever topic and you look on Scholar Google, the quantity of papers, you have always many methodological papers. You have many methodological papers than takers of the same methods. So she was spot on in her prediction. One problem which we discussed in our paper is that there is a lot of statistical work, sociological work on statistics, on algorithm, now on artificial intelligence, but there isn't much statistical work, sociological work on mathematical modeling, with the exception of the work of Mary Morgan and Margaret Morrison, who are real exception, and she wrote these two beautiful books, which you see on the bottom right, Models as Mediator and The World in Model. Those are fantastic books, which, I mean, all these four books are really books which everyone in our line of business should read, given time. I don't, not in one day, but given time, those are all books worth reading. In particular, models are really indispensable in the scientific method because they are really the most effective mediator between what we have in our head and what is out there. No, Morris, no, sorry, Mary Morgan explains very well how you, as a modeler, you enter into your model and you spend some time there looking at what happened there, now doing a lot of experiment there in the model, inside the box, and then you go up and look outside to see whether what you have learned inside the box makes any sense, has any correspondence in reality, no? And I would say that with the more powerful the computer, the more time the modelers spend outside of the box, in a sense. They let the mathematical model do the thinking instead of entering into the model and do the thinking as the example in this book and in the other book of Mary Morgan suggests. So there is so not model for thinking inside the model, but models doing the thinking directly. Still, models are very influential, and the digital twin are a proof of how influential the models are. Also because model can swap between study and application, changing clothes, being like chameleon, no? And they are very good at navigating the political. Again, we have of this many examples, no? And at the end of the day, nobody really checks whether a model is reproducible. And now there are the study of Breslau, which I quoted, is an interesting new development, because when you try to repeat this experiment, which have a large stat modeling, this becomes quite interesting. Okay, so what else? So if you, okay, this is another paper where we discuss how models become themselves part of a political cycle of promises, no? Decarbonization, circular economy, all these kind of promises which are made, which are model-based, because models allow you to enter this economy of promises, which is deceiving in a sense. But people are not stupid. We have seen with COVID that people react, and at the end of the day, they stop believing. No, we talk here about the economics of techno-scientific promises, which in very many cases are model-based. Okay, what else do we have here? Yeah, now we come to the book. Of course, there is a solution to this, which is sensitivity analysis, and in particular, when you want to make it such that everyone can adopt it, it must be simple and such that makes a model simultaneously more interpretable, transparent, and democratic in a sense. No. And so this is what the book does, because if you look at the chapter, they always show the kind of colored histogram which you see on the right hand diagram of this slide. So using the color makes really a great difference, because in this way you can make the result of a sensitivity analysis immediately interpretable. Even if behind this we know that Maria used also both sensitivity indices to select the variable which are combined to generate the histogram. If you use the software, you still Maria is laughing. You still see that the resulting histogram to a large extent does the trick. So you have in the book, you have a wealth of application which shows how flexible the methods are to engineering, environmental science, behavioral sciences. Where do we go next? Okay, we discussed this already with Maria and Julian. We thought operation research would be a field worth investigating because it's a field which is simultaneously very large, very broad, full of application, but very much mathematized. So I think they could use some of this stuff, but on the other hand, they like heavy mathematical stuff. It's a challenge to see if we can convince them to take some of these up. So in the preface which I wrote, I say that we cannot say that this book democratized mathematical modeling, but for sure we can say that it democratized sensitivity analysis, uncertainty and sensitivity analysis. To conclude with Socrates, who said that in unexamined life is not worth living, we try to convince people that also an unexamined model is not worth using. So I hope I stayed in my minutes. Thank you, Maria.
Andrea, bravo, so beautiful. I absolutely love the way you're doing slides in general, but those devoted to the book were absolutely stunning. And where did you find that silly picture of me
I
blowing
don't
some
know. It
soap
was
bubble?
online. I didn't take it.
It's
It was
actually
online. It's
yes,
too
actually from
beautiful.
a
No, it's
local
fantastic. This
newspaper.
is really
Yeah,
you. Look.
that's me. That's true me.
Sorry. Yeah.
Oh, yes, thank you,
Okay.
Andrea. That was very interesting, engaging. I am so excited to jump into where next conversation, but maybe we first want to hear some comments from the audience or
Sure.
questions. Please go ahead, switch on your mics and start talking. Does anybody have something to say? Silence.
Yeah, shocked.
Shocked. Uh, Julian, do you have a couple of words? It doesn't have to be a question.
I'm actually very intrigued by your paper on the replication study, where, and for people that haven't read the paper, which might be a majority of the people online here, it is where, there's this issue of replication of science and of experimentation. And what you showed in your paper was that even when people are looking at the same model and going through the same data, they get this wide spectrum of possible solutions to it, from the very positive to the very negative. how do you see sensitivity analysis broadly written? How do you see that addressing that? I mean, I found that a very concerning paper because it says that you can, almost like the MAGA approach in the US, you can dispute all science by saying, obviously it's biased by the modelers themselves. How do you see sensitivity analysis playing into that, on a general basis?
Yeah, interesting question. No, actually, Breslau himself was looking for normative bias and couldn't find it. They could not find normative bias. So the problem was not the political, the ideological. The problem was simply a silly accumulation of uncertainty into higher order interaction. So we are not, our approach is not to generate skepticism or dismantle everything which is done, but to design better experiment whereby you calibrate your investigation to for example, the study they did was really full of hubris because they tested 6 different policies on many countries. They put everything together and they didn't see anything. So we discover in a subsequent work I haven't shown yet that if you select only one country or only one policy, then the effect can be either positive or negative. So there is nothing, terribly unsettling in a sense, for people for technical people doing the work who want to achieve conclusions which are robust and defensible. It's like Lemmer said, you shake the inference and you only publish it when you see that the inference is robust.
But what would happen when perhaps those that are not, formulating the experimentations. And again, go back to the MAGA types. Not that I'm trying to espouse any political leanings or anything, but they would look at that and say that, okay, because of that, we can dispute, climate change, or we can dispute this, and we can dispute that. And that to me was the unsettling part, is that how somebody would then interpret any of the science finding.
Julian, we could revert the argument and say, I want to say to the people who are users of the model to ask if the model has run a sensitivity analysis. So it should be on the receiver to make sure that it's not being fed some information which is fragile, unless he really wants skewed information for his own political agenda. I mean, the case of COVID has been emblematic. So let's forget about climate change, because climate change still is is developing, but COVID is an experiment which is started, and I wouldn't say finished, but anyhow, we have enough information. And the use of mathematical modeling COVID, I could argue, has been a failure because politicians have oversold the certainty about the result of those mathematical models. The public have largely smelled the fish, and become skeptical, even skeptical of vaccine, which is a very bad outcome because we need vaccine, no? So we have a proof with COVID that if you play this game, you get you get very bad results. So I wouldn't be worried. I mean, this plays in the hand of the skeptics. I mean, then you could say that all the sociology which looks at quantification, can be used to undo quantification. But it is not even true, because the actors in the quantification regime, those who do artificial intelligence and generative models, are not easily deterred by anyone. So it's the other way around. You have to instrument the citizens so that they know enough about these things to become critical. So the other way around, I mean, we can help the citizen to become more critical where they need to be.
Okay, so let me ask one more follow-up question, which is actually the one Maria is thinking right now then. how would you use SimDec to resolve that issue?
With SimDec, you could show to the modeler where, for example, since you like very much work on second order effect, the important second order effect, so you could say, listen, if you couple policy and countries, different policies in different countries in the same analysis, the second order effect of these two variables will be so high that to blur, many of your results, or anyhow, to generate a lot of uncertainty. So it really would help. And
That
that, but
actually,
then you would, sorry, yeah.
no, so sorry, excuse me. That actually would be very interesting to see. You indeed show in that paper that there is a high interaction the effect. The quite a big one, was it 50%, 70%, something allocated
Yeah,
to high
something,
order
yeah,
effects? Yes.
yeah.
Would be interesting to see their shapes with SimDec.
Yeah.
Like, is it just linear interaction? Like if it was a multiplicative model, or is there something else going on, something heterogeneous?
Or even as simple as the simple histogram. I mean, the uncertainty
Yes, yes,
is too
yes.
large. Yeah,
Yes.
because they don't have a clue because they have never done it. We give for granted. I mean, we live in a Monte Carlo mindset, okay? But people don't live in this mindset, Sergey. we, I mean, we represent a minority of the population of scientists. Not all scientists have a Monte Carlo mindset whereby, they immediately try something by propagating uncertainty using some kind of design. Even the concept of design, many people don't have any idea. I mean, the people doing this work with the breast now, they were exploring the multidimensional space at saturation. You understand what I mean? They were not sampling, they were saturating, they were exploring all the possible combination. So they said, oh, we need to do some billions combination because we want to examine all the possibility. And when we were discussing with them and we said, why? Why do you want to? For what reason do you want to explore all combinations? Sample, no? What the problem with sampling?
Yeah, the problem with sampling is that at least for computational modeling, there is still no, I'd say there is no good resource in the internet that is can be accessible for just common people who are not very much into the science of global sensitivity analysis. It would be nice to have something like that. Yes, in general, people, at least engineers with whom we worked in the book, that's a general idea, is that the sampling is done like with this, how is it called, full
Saturation.
Yeah, so saturation,
Factorial
like just
design, full factorial
all.
design.
Yes, exactly, full factorial design. Yes, when
Factorial,
all the
yes.
all the dots are, like, all the combinations of all the dots are considered, and nothing else comes to mind. And when we talk about something a little bit random, even if so good as quasi Monte Carlo sequences, it's already quite uncomfortable for many. Yeah, surprisingly.
Yeah, we still the paper we did with Sergey was not even published because the reviewers did not agree. But the paper has been quoted now. Sergey, how much? 2,000 times? I don't know. We have a lot of citation to that paper, which is still at
more than
preprint
that.
stage.
I'm getting some feedback either from ResearchGate, and even today and yesterday I was getting that this person read our paper, this person read our paper. So people are reading, and what is surprising, although there are more formal papers on several sequences and the importance, people quote our paper as a major source of information on software sampling, which is surprising to me.
Yeah. You you said, oh no, they would never publish it. You maybe
yes,
you should reconsider
because of Helton. Helton, he wrote like 7 or 8 pages, the apology of LHS, Linear Hypercube. So LHS is, so good that nothing else should be used. I mean,
Yeah.
that's why.
Yes, I'm also checking what paper is that. Are we talking about exploring multidimensional spaces, a comparison of Latin hypercube and quasi-Monte Carlo sampling techniques?
See,
Yes,
see.
yes,
Sergey, you are the first author, right? Why don't you try
Yes, but
again to send it to a journal?
You came up with a title. I mean,
Sorry.
you came up with a title to the paper.
Ah, okay.
Because there was a different, more sort of dry title, and we decided to go a little bit more sort of artistic, exploring the modern Western space.
Yeah.
Yes, and speaking of Wikipedia, I once remember Andrea tried to put a little piece on different sampling techniques, not in statistics, but in mathematical modeling, and it was unfortunately deleted. Yes, yes,
yeah.
yes.
We had to go back
information.
there gently. We had to go back
Yes.
gently there without being too much frustrated. You had to make conflict of interest statement. You ask for the permission to do something. And if you do this, normally, I mean, but I can tell you how it can try to be done, but I don't want to insist on that.
Yes, we need to get back to that because there is, I don't know, articles, yes, but the textbooks, maybe. I'm actually not aware of a textbook. Or okay, I'm not going to show my ignorance publicly. But I haven't seen good article on Wikipedia or anything. I actually only saw summer school materials where there is good slides on different sampling techniques. That was good. But in Wikipedia for computational modeling, unfortunately not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our page ensemble sequences with some of my contribution. It is there, but it's pure ensemble sequences.
Yes, and everything else like Layton's hypercube and the full factorial design and comparison to just random sampling. So all of those also would be interesting to.
Sorry, Sergey, why don't you try again to publish this paper? I mean, you can write to the editor of a journal and say that this paper has been in preprint for many years and has so many quotes, citation that it would deserve to be published. Why don't you give it a try?
The problem is that basically it was written for users who are not very experienced in theory, because I'm going to conferences on Monte Carlo and Monte Carlo every year, and when you go there, what we publish is so much basic stuff that there is basically no new scientific knowledge there. But it's very good as an introduction to the users who are not very experienced. So in terms of novelty, it will be extremely difficult to publish in any paper in any journals which specializes in sampling techniques in Monte Carlo. It would not be possible. I mean, reviewers would just kill it, I would say.
Depend from the journal. Depend from the journal.
Yes, indeed. But then, if you not publish in a specialized journal, then where would you publish? In something application oriented journals, then you would need to present some applications and want to have test cases which are pure models. So I don't see actually where we can publish it. I mean, it just would not be.
Okay, very simple. We look at who quotes the paper. Maybe it takes some time. I don't know if
it's
we
easy.
can do this.
You go to Google,
exactly,
which gives you all the references.
Exactly. We see who quotes our paper, and then based on who quotes our paper the most, we go on that journal. That's a simple solution.
We can try. Yes, we can try that.
I'm sure that Dan Ames would take it in environmental modeling and software, which maybe is not the best of journal, but if you want to publish it there, why not? Or RES, or one of these not yeah.
That's probably would not, because this is,
Hmm.
if it's not application wise, yes, methodology, which once again is known. But yes, I will check who is, who is referenced.
No, but we are now
Please.
discussing three possible things. One is to resubmit the paper of Sergei. Another things would be to apply Maria's method to this experiment of Breslau. This is also, but I still think that we should, I mean, Maria, you are so close to operation research. Why don't you make a paper for operation research? I know the journal is very hard, but maybe the European Journal of Operation Research, I don't know, maybe they would take it to say, that this is something so simple. I mean, okay, let me put it this way. What they teach to the student is even more simple. They teach them to use the simplex method and to do a sensitivity analysis by one variable at a time using how do they call them? The adjoint problem, no? Which is very elementary and totally useless because they change one variable at a time. This is what they teach in the textbooks, okay? So clearly using SimDec is much, much better. So there is no point there that they should take it. No, they should take it. Yeah, the European Journal of Operation Research. Yeah, okay, yes, Samuel, you're right. But
maybe the simplex method is more didactic, perhaps, to start with. Of course,
which one?
I mean, you were mentioning about that they teach the simplex method. Yeah, and I agree that in the real world, you actually don't end up using that too much, but for academic purposes, for teaching.
For teaching, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's valuable.
Okay, no, in fact, I teach it myself, but I teach myself how to do this in 2 dimensions with the ruler. but still, it would be nice to do something different.
Yes, definitely. We do have this paper in progress, actually, Andrea, with you. Yes, I ran out of time and energy for that within at least this period.
Yeah, we know that you are.
Yes.
You're busy with something else now.
Busy with another project. Yes, but my genius plan is to make Pamphil in charge of that paper and also then hire him, so he has actually obligation to finish it.
Yeah.
We'll see. But Andrea, actually, I wanted to use an opportunity to run this thought through you and through others. Thank you, Samuele. So you mentioned GIGO rule, garbage in, garbage out, and it's mostly applied to the numerical assumptions going to the model and the output of the model. But while writing my ERC grant, I started to feel that we can also use GIGO rule as saying about the model, the type of a model or the mechanics of the model as input to the sensitivity analysis study. And if your model is, for example, too heavy, like digital twins, one extreme, right? Then as you showed in one paper with Arnold, I believe, about effective dimensions, that the more uncertainties you have there, the more fuzzy the result becomes. And it's not easy to interpret anymore and to make sense of it. On the other hand, there is this whole field of applied field of cost-benefit analysis. Like pretty much it's everywhere: environmental economics, engineering economics, all other applied economics plus finance. And there, the models are usually too simple. And then the only complexity you get there is multiplication. At best, price multiplied the production volume, something like that. And
yes and no, because some of them use discount factor, and discount factor can be modeled using different equations.
Yes, but still, I mean, discount factor doesn't help you make better investments. It make adjust your level of risk taking maybe, but it's not gonna make you actively design something resilient. It's just about whether you accept the investment or not. My thinking was that,
Maria, if you enter into the logic of the modeling process, even a cost-benefit analysis can become quite rich in uncertainty. Yeah,
that's true. That's true. But my thinking was that what if we do models more like Lego constructors, which are more like embed inside the automatic decision tree, like that there are different choices and different opportunities actually embedded into the model, which you can simulate over, and each of them lead to the different kind of developments of uncertainty, different other decisions, etc., etc. So if something like that is modeled, then it would be much more interesting to analyze in the follow-up sensitivity analysis study. What do you think about that? Or is it too much a bit convoluted?
I think the SimDec is ideally applied to cost benefit or risk analysis, because the fact that you can show the lower tail, no, or the high tail, depending if you're talking about benefit or risk, and you can show where the tail is coming from in a very intuitive way. This is a fantastic information for brokers, for quants, for whoever is doing the analysis, no? Because they say, okay, I can do this, but what can kill my investment is this kind of uncertainty, the uncertainty coming from this variable. So maybe I can hedge against this, right?
True.
I can modify the portfolio so that I hedge against this particular source of uncertainty. And then I see this as something which could be even... Sergey, you know this, no? Because you are close to the people doing this kind of work. What do you think?
In banking, they do it differently. It's value at risk expected shortfall portfolio. It's not about benefit analysis. So I'm working in a department where people are using it, but once again they're just using it as one of the what they call KPIs. KPIs for quality.
But why would they not want to try something different?
Oh, inertia.
There is no way. I mean, there is no way.
Yes.
Basel is 800 pages. Do it this by this by this. Even one example. When they compute all the risk measures, the prescription is because it's on a portfolio basis, and portfolio in banks, they are huge, massive. So they run it overnight, and it's very, very, very low procedure, and they do it need to do it every night, and to report this to the regulator. So because this is very, very expensive, so the prescription is that they should use 10,000 scenarios Monte Carlo based. Okay, 10,000 will converge, don't converge, they don't care. Yeah, they know more is better, but they can afford it because in a big bank it would be not one day no more. So 10,000 model runs, which is nonsense. And only one bank challenged it in Italy, and they tried several sequences, and it took them I don't know how long, but they basically they argued that they can achieve the same result of 10,000 Monte Carlo simulations with 2048 Sobol scenario-based simulation, but it's only one bank in there the whole world. So it's the regulators are very, very strict, and banks don't really want to. So it's different in other departments. But risk is very much strict, and they obey the rules.
Yeah. But people in the craft. For instance, Paul Wilmot. Why don't you ask Paul to help you?
Paul doesn't like this management at all. There are people like Talia. who argue that all these risk measures, they are witchcraft. Okay, so, and probability is one of them. So derivative pricing is different. Derivative pricing is different. Derivative is a number. The price is a number. But with risk measurement, risk measurement, it is a different area, different people. And interestingly, now, for example, in derivative desk, all banks now know that Sobol is much better than Monte Carlo, so they use Sobol sequence generators. Do the pricing. In risk management, no. They all use Monte Carlo. It's very, very conservative area. Very, very conservative area. And Paul will not help, I'm afraid.
Okay.
It's a different world.
Different world,
game,
yes.
yeah.
And even people who are not doing risk analysis, but just cost benefit analysis, investment departments, something like that. They are also, they are less conservative, but they're still very much trusting only that was taught in their MBAs, that was written in their textbooks. So it should really be like big top-down approach to reach that audience. Yes, that's true. But there is more and more critique of including risk management practices in the literature. So maybe a revolution is coming at some point. And we'll see, maybe even Sobol sequences and SimDec might be a part of that. Who knows?
Yeah.
Depending on how hard we work.
Yes,
and
yes,
what
yes,
we,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, 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 yes. Sure, sure, yes.
Yes. Okay. Anybody else? Questions, thoughts to share, opinions, comments? Okay. People are tired, I guess, today.
You're tired. Yes. Yeah, it's almost 1 hour. That was nice.
Yes.
We had a
Yes,
few
thank you,
ideas.
Andrea, for
Thank
taking time
you.
for doing that. It's precious.
Okay, Maria, and be in touch.
Yes, be in touch. And I already look forward to that data from the modeling experiment. Yes,
Okay,
yes,
then
yes, the one
wait, because we
yes.
are now trying to publish the second paper, and then maybe we can
Okay.
think of a third. And
Yes.
yeah,
What
sure. Why not?
I mean, it doesn't have to be a paper. You just send me the data, run it through SimDec, and we'll see if there is anything interesting.
Okay.
So no paper pretense, absolutely. Just curiosity.
Okay. I'll talk to Alessio. Alessio has all the data.
Yeah.
Alessio is the guy who's now teaching in Rome. Okay, then.
Yes, thank you, Andrea.
Be in touch. Bye-bye.
Yes.
Ciao.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.